What up, YouTube? Welcome back. So in this video, I want to talk about the black lady who was recently accosted and attacked at a protest in LA. And this was a pro-Trump protest. And I have a few things to say about this. Um, and I'll give a disclaimer right off the bat and say that I'm not trying to victim blame, and I'm not trying to um, take away blame from people who do bad things. But some things need to be said. All right. So here we go. All right. So there's an article on a website, ktla.com. I think that might be like a local news station in LA. And they posted an article about this situation. I'm going to read through the article and give my thoughts and opinions about this. So they're saying that the police says that no arrest will be made following an investigation into widely circulated photos showing a white man grabbing a black woman from behind at a pro-Trump protest outside Los Angeles City Hall this week. So far they're saying that no arrest will be made. All right. And the woman involved told investigators the man was actually acting as a good Samaritan, pulling her to safety. Um, the incident unfolded Wednesday at a demonstration coinciding with the storming of the U.S. Capitol. LAPD began investigating the following day after people circulated photos on social media calling for the man to be identified. The Los Angeles Times identified the woman as 25-year-old Berlinda Nebo, who told the newspaper a hostile crowd was shouting racial slurs and attacking her with pepper spray and assaulting her. Quote unquote, it seemed like these people were trying to kill me, to use me to make some kind of a statement or something. So one thing I do want to speak about before I continue on with the article, how did she get into this area? Again, not saying that she is 100% to blame, but how, like, when she saw this protest happening, did she go into the protest, or did folks just see her on the sidelines and then get at her or something? You know, and I bring this up because black people, especially black women, have to be careful about how they move and have to be aware of how they move through spaces in terms of maintaining their safety, because this situation could have gone real left and she could be another Black Lives Matter hashtag. And well, because she's a black woman, she probably might not even make it to that level, to be real. Don't get fooled by the Breonna Taylor situation. Usually, a lot of times, black women's, when they end up in situations like that, black women tend to not get as much press and media coverage. Now, if she was a black man, they'll be pushing that through the media. All right. But again, like, I think black people in general, but especially black women, do have to be aware and kind of like move in different ways, right? Because there isn't really a system in place to protect you like that, right? There's a reason why that Malcolm X quote, like, people still quote it, people still cite it. There's a reason why that is. So the article continues. The images show the large, bearded man with his arms around Nebo from behind, clasping tightly so that her arms are pinned down. In one photo, Nebo tries to shield her face as a hand reaches towards it. As some on Twitter identified the man as an employee at a West Covina Toyota dealership, including high-profile figures like actress Jane Lynch. Toyota responded to the messages condemning his actions and saying he is no longer working for them. And the man that you see in the photo with the black lady, the white man, um, who kind of like has his arms around her, he works for Toyota, and his employment has been terminated. So, and of course, Toyota put out a statement saying that they don't condone the conduct and that, you know, that's not in accordance with their principles. So, investigators say a battery hate crime report was filed after they located Nebo, Berlinda. But after speaking with her, they determined the man seen grabbing her was not an aggressor. According to LAPD, Berlinda told detectives she felt a bear hug from behind and heard a man say, quote unquote, "You're okay. I'm not going to hurt you. I got your phone in my hand. I'm going to try to get you out of here. These people are trying to hurt you." Then he carried her away from the throng and let her go, officials said. However, in an interview with BuzzFeed News, Berlinda said the man did not help her. Interesting. So in BuzzFeed, with them, she said, quote unquote, "It would have helped me more if he had made way for me to move out of there completely," she said. She described her real rescuers as two bystanders who freed her from the man's arms. Once she was free, a bystander administered first aid to her on the south lawn of LAPD headquarters, police said. Officials did not disclose what she was treated for. According to Times, she was pepper sprayed and scratched in the face, jabbed in the shoulder with a metal pole, and had her wig torn off from her head. You know, you already know the Black Manosphere gonna have a field day with that one. But yeah, seemingly, okay, this woman is being subjected to violence now. This black woman who's 25 years old, she is being subjected to violence at this point. And like, these people should not be being violent with her. Like, I don't think the situation should have escalated to that point. It seems like this group of people, like, were the aggressors. Like, this group tried to come after her. And again, I'm not trying to victim blame, but, was there like another way that she could have taken if she needed to get through to get to somewhere? And I'll put it like this, like, and just take this situation out of it. Like, if you were going down the street and you notice that the street is flooded, what would you do? Would you continue to go down the street that you know is flooded? Or would you try and find another way to get where you're trying to go? Perhaps there was no other way for her to get to where she was trying to go but going down the flooded street. In that case, you need to proceed with extreme caution if you're going down a flooded street. Right. And folks were heckling her and kind of coming at her. And I think some racial slurs were thrown too, and I think that may have been where she gave them the middle finger, and then from the middle finger they decided to accost her and go after her. And I can understand her feeling some type of a way about being called a racial slur and wanting to clap back at them. But unfortunately, you're one and they are many. So it was not in her best interest to clap back since she doesn't have backup. She doesn't have anyone to come to her defense. You know. And again, I'm not trying to victim blame. I'm just putting this out here for for purposes of knowing how to move in certain situations, right? Because this situation could have ended up with her losing her life because 5 people in that situation did lose their lives, including one police officer. Thankfully, she was not one of those people, but this could have gone real left for her, you know. And it's not entirely her fault, and I'm not saying that's entirely her fault. And in the community, in the black community, um, black women do be getting hyped up to be super black woman and thinking they can take on any and everything. I'm sure she got some of that um, Kool-Aid served to her. So she probably just drank a little bit too much of the Kool-Aid, or maybe she just felt like, oh, the situation wouldn't really escalate like that. She may have just felt like that too, but it did. So the article goes on to say, police did not say whether they would be investigating the individuals the woman had to be rescued from. LAPD eventually declared an unlawful assembly surrounding the downtown LA protest. 6 people were arrested, 3 on suspicion of carrying unpermitted items, 2 for allegedly failing to disperse, and 1 on suspicion of resisting police. And that is the end of the article there. So yeah, um, we're living in some real crazy times, you know that. And again, I know this situation is a bit different, but it's somewhat reminiscent of black women kind of like going on the front lines during those protests, like the George Floyd protest, just jumping on the front lines for some reason. And I know this situation isn't exactly equivalent to that because this woman was not protesting and she was just kind of like in the area and walking through the area. But really, at this point, I think black women just need to stay away from protest in general. you know, take a break from protesting at least, right? And just maybe find more different and creative ways to, advocate for issues, perhaps. Because black women in protest, I don't know, for some reason, it just don't seem to end well at times. For some reason, it just don't seem to go well. Thankfully, this woman was able to leave this situation with her life and her health relatively intact for the most part. She probably suffered some bruises and scratches and things like that, but I'm sure she can recover from that. You can't recover from losing your life. Once you've lost your life, that's it. You know. And why aren't the arrests being made? You know, that's something to think about too. See, this level of protection for black women is not there. Now, if a white woman had walked through like a Black Lives Matter protest or some black protest or something like that and experienced something similar, if not the same, arrests would have been made. In fact, I don't even think the black people would have even attacked her because they know that arrests would have been made and they would have tried to use that to demonize the whole protest and perhaps even the whole movement. Right. So these are things that need to be taken into consideration when it comes to black people, especially black women, when it comes to the way that they move within this society. And the woman also said that the white man, in like one interview or whatever, said that he helped her. In another interview, she said that he seemingly was not helping her. So, I don't know what's up with that. Um, but thankfully, the woman is safe and sound. You know. And, also, when black women end up in situations like this, you know, even if it is no fault of their own, people's level of sympathy and empathy for black women is not there. All right. Unfortunately, it is not there. And even within the community, they'll find some way to say that black woman brought it on herself. Right. Now, if this was a black man, we could find an excuse. Somehow, some way, we can scrape up an excuse and put an excuse together. But we know that that does not work for black women in the community. All right. I hate to be the one to tell you, but I gotta keep it real with you, and I gotta let you know what things actually are. So, long story short, black women. Black women and protests do not mix. If you see a protest, you go the other way. You don't deal with these protests, all right? Just find another way. And if you got to go through, if that's just the only way to get where you got to go, then you just keep your head down and keep walking forward and just walk through. Don't pay anybody any attention. Do not start any conversations with anyone. Don't clap back at anyone. Just keep it moving until you are in a safe space. Your safety is the priority. But, and that's all I really have to say for the moment. I wonder how this story is going to play out in the media. If that white man was really saving her, do you think the media is going to push that? You're going to see a whole bunch of media footage. Oh, white man saved that black woman. Like they push when like black men want to be Captain Save a white person. You know, I don't know. I don't think they're going to be so quick to push that imagery in the media because they don't want to influence white men to start saving black women. Now they'll push some imagery of like a black man saving a white woman or saving a white man. They'll push that imagery because they want to keep that going. Like, oh yeah, and they like seeing that stuff. But what do you think about all this? Let me know in the comment section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.